18 and 13. He has actually the worst ratio against Protoss in Pro League right now at 1 and 2. That's actually where both of his losses came from, in fact. So if you think about it that way, it just makes even more sense to send a Protoss out against him.
Yeah, I mean, you look at numbers, you just go by feeling even. It just makes sense to send out a Protoss. We were saying before even we saw Terminator, maybe they would send SOS out because he has been looking a little bit better lately, but, you know, it's just basically you want to send a Protoss up against PartinG here, and of course they did choose to go with Terminator here, who so far is 2 and 2, but also 1 and 2 versus Protoss so far in Pro League of 2014.
Yep, so, you know, you could say all of his losses were against Protoss, but half of his wins were against Protoss as well in Pro League, so somewhat of a small sample size, as Terminator isn't somebody we see all too often come out in Pro League. But that's why I like the all-kill format, because you get to see players like these come out as snipers specifically. And there's no doubt in my mind that your analysis earlier is correct. This is a snipe play. This is a Protoss versus Protoss sniper sent out to eliminate PartinG. We're going into our third map, which is Outboxer right away, so stay tuned.
LTA는 SK텔레콤.
Up here in the top left, for SK Telecom, the red Protoss player, this is PartinG.
Looking very calm here. A little sleepy there at the last second, though. His opponent, of course, is Terminator.
Yeah, PartinG was yawning on screen there before you guys got to see him. Maybe just a little bored with the players he's been going up against so far. Maybe Terminator can poke a little light into him.
I was just hoping he was going to be better prepared for my force fields. I just put them down so gently. I got a little bit drowsy as I picked up my sentries and watched Rogue get upset. So
you actually saw the coach of SK Telecom in between sets there. He was just like, okay, now calm down, PartinG. Like, we know it was a big game. You did a good job, but you want to keep it steady. You want to keep it slow here, not get too out of hand. Don't get too risky. And I think that's good, especially going into a PvP here. I mean, even SK Telecom was probably expecting it against PartinG as well.
Yeah, I mean, all these things that you and I can predict right now here, and the ideas of the viewers who are watching at home, and here in the studio, making predictions. All of these things are not only, you probably thought, yeah, I think Protoss versus Protoss is the way to go. But then imagine that there's a staff that actually looks at all the numbers and all the games and knows everything about every player and their weaknesses and their strengths and how they've been doing, and then watching them in their qualifiers and watching online tournaments, and there's okay, this is exactly who we want to send out. And it just, and as that result, I'm sure that PartinG's coach expected to see a Protoss player here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point as well. We are fans, we are casters, everybody who follows StarCraft. We watch a ton of StarCraft, but we're not there to watch specifically, one player and every build he does and when he plays and what his practice schedule is like. Nothing like that. We're just fans and casters here. We're not like actually paid to do this kind
We're
of
not
thing.
coaches, so that's what it comes down to. But let's see what happens here with this probe scout. Looked like for a moment there he was considering hiding it. It does not. So Terminator comes in here, sees the triple and triple gas, both geysers with 3 and 3, and basically mirror builders here for now. Zealot has been started for PartinG. He may decide to cancel that. Almost loses the probe actually to a citizen's arrest. Doesn't happen.
Yeah, Terminator got to be careful here. Doesn't want to lose that probe.
Teasing a little bit.
Yeah, you always want to send in the probe, and if you get into the base, you want to try to mess up that timing on the close minerals there. You always want to have 2 probes going back and forth in those close minerals, and sometimes you send that scouting probe to just disrupt that a little bit, take a little bit of that time, try to get both of those probes off. But
this map is so, the main base is so huge on it. There's so many places you could hide your probes, and it looked like Terminator was really thinking about it with his probe, but decided not to. He's going to hide it in general down here, though. And PartinG is just, today he's all about the greed. He just puts the Nexus down in plain sight. And actually, in response, we see that from Terminator. This is not the build that I expect to see from Terminator in a PvP against PartinG.
This is like a build that you send a Protoss player here to maybe snipe another Protoss player. This is not the build that you expect.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, PartinG is an aggressive player, so if you try to play a macro game against him and then you expect his aggressive attack, then you can, defend it, maybe get ahead. So maybe that's Terminator's idea here. And he's not just saying, well, I am the sniper for PartinG, but I'm not going to be an all-in player. I'm just going to actually beat him in the matchup because I've been preparing for this and I know how PartinG plays PvP. So they're both doing identical builds. They both go into the Twilight Council afterwards. And with that pylon placement, well, he didn't see that, right? I think he's going to hide the Dark Shrine there, whereas PartinG is just going to make his in the main base. Yep. And this could end up being a really crazy game because when you have DTs versus DTs, if there's no detection for either player, things get really, really messy.
Things get out of hand. You're eating pizza with a lot of oil on it. You didn't give it some time to cool off, and the cheese is just going over everywhere, and you're just not happy with it. This hallucinated Oracle is coming in. He's not going to see the Dark Shrine so far.
Brendan, do you want pizza?
I do want pizza. I was thinking about it.
Are you thinking about pizza? Are you seeing pizza in the crowd?
Yeah.
We can get you some pizza later.
I want to eat that pizza.
You don't have to keep making these weird pizza analogies to get pizza. I can just ask somebody.
That would be great, Wolf. Please do that for me.
You know what, actually? Cancel on the Dark Shrine for PartinG.
Yeah, that did get scouted, actually, by the Hallucinated Phoenix, whereas the Hallucinated Oracle that did come in for PartinG did not see the Dark Shrine of Terminator.
I mean, they're both going for robotics because they know, as any person who's ever played Protoss versus Protoss, even in Bronze League, knows that if you skip your robotics in PvP, you're just taking a huge risk because Dark Templar they will kill you if you have no detection. You have to have some form of detection, whether that's a cannon or an observer or perhaps even an oracle. The forward pylon here is so far forward. We'll see how much Terminator can actually get done here. First DT is on the way, and the robotics is not done. So if he's not force fielded out, even if he is force fielded out because there's two bases, he's going to do some damage.
Yeah, this Dark Templar, like you said before, so close. He's not going to see it. He's going to get into the main base. No force field on the ramp, but he knows this is coming. He's going to actually get an Immortal first.
Why is he getting an Immortal?
I don't know. Does he have an Observer? No, I mean
he doesn't. I don't think he saw it. I think he
yeah.
just moved his sentries coincidentally at that moment, but I don't think he actually saw it. And now he's losing already 5 probes. He's losing a ton of mining time. If that pylon goes down, it's going to be a big annoyance as well. And I actually think since there's no observer and he knows this, making a second DT might even be worth it. Because there's only one observer and he's going to know that too. PartinG would probably be able to force the DT into the main base, but still, it could have been a minor annoyance.
Yeah, this DT is still hanging around here in the main base. And that observer is now finally coming back here. This Dark Templar is going to be picked off, but it did get 5 kills and a good amount of scouting information as well. And it did stop that mining time at the main base as well. So
how did that probe even die? That didn't even make sense.
Just the energy of the Dark Templar just blew it up, I think.
That was, I don't even understand. That was like, I was like, oh, perfect force field there, saves the probe still blows up. I'm like, I don't know, it's magic. That was pretty crazy. But I mean, look at the unit tab. Economy-wise, these two are basically dead even. PartinG was able to get some extra probes out, but he did lose some to the DT. They're both even when it comes to their Sentry and Stalker count. The big difference being here, PartinG has the better tech. And the DT did some damage, but it didn't pay off yet. You know, you can still get more returns on the Dark Shrine later. For example, if he does a DT drop, which, you know, that's not his Warp Prism, but had he made a Warp Prism, he could go for it. And also, you know, harassments later on in the third base, or if there's no cannons up, those are things to consider later on. So even though the Dark Shrine hasn't really paid for itself yet, it may pay off later.
Yeah. I think if PartinG sends in a bunch of these hallucinations in here and he sees exactly what Terminator has, he's got to be feeling pretty good. You know, he's got to look at his own tech and be like, okay, you know, I feel like I defended the Dark Templar relatively well. You know, he did only get 5 kills, and I'm getting my tick out here a little bit earlier. And we're on decently even economy as well. You know, I think PartinG has got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how he wants to play it out after this. I mean, he's actually adding a ton of gateways right now, charge and +1. We could see him try to hit like a charge zealot and +2 aggressive timing to make sure his opponent can't get his third base. Whereas we have Colossi now on the way for Terminator. And PartinG actually takes his own third, so the gateways can also assist in the defense of that third base. Only time will tell. PartinG, a player who's very... Oh, look at this. He's actually going to just go ahead and kill the Mothership for
Oh, that is so nice. I mean, the Mothership Core has been sitting there for a while. Just come in there with the High Templar that you've made already. Just feedback that and go back. Very little interesting play there that you can do even earlier on. A lot of players in PvP like to do it right before the battle starts.
It's really cool, actually. I don't think we've ever seen somebody do this just as a flyby snipe, because the Mothership Core has multiple abilities, right? It has Time Warp, which was recently nerfed to cost 100 energy. It has the Overcharge ability for defensive purposes. Then it has Recall, which is also usually used for defensive purposes. So if there's no action, because it's Protoss versus Protoss, and that's how this matchup goes after the early game, then you know that Mothership Core is going to be at full energy, and a feedback will actually kill it. So a smart choice there by PartinG. And he saves, the High Templar. We'll see what he gets done with this little run by over here.
Yeah, he did get that Warp Prism out, and so far it looks like Terminator does know this is coming in. He does have that cannon as well to block this off, but we're going to have to see if PartinG goes for an extra warp in here. I mean, I don't think he will go for it. He's going to just try to pick off that cannon and get out of here. That will be very nice if he actually had a Dark Templar, but he did cancel that.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing if you talk about, with the Dark Tyrant you saw earlier. Oh, he might lose this. Meanwhile, he actually saves it, but meanwhile he's going to kill the third base of his opponent. And that's what this Warp Prism is partially for. Come over here, distract him, and then kill the third base. He's going to force a cancel here. And nicely done. And PartinG back at home has his own third. He's got a cannon up for DT defense. And his upgrades are also ahead with +2. So I'm liking PartinG's place in this game right now.
Yeah, PartinG's looking really, really nice here. The thing that Terminator does have going for him is the Colossi, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. I don't know how much he has exactly just now. It looked like 2 before, and he's getting his third right now. But, will he be able to hold it off with that amount? He does have a nice Zealot Roadbike coming in here, though.
Yep, the Immortal is not being actually taken seriously as the Zealots run through. PartinG actually, meanwhile, busy microing during his attack. That's part of the reason why he has no defense here. Now he starts warping some of those units. The cannon placement is very smart. As you can see, it makes it so that only one Zealot, or DT, for example, can fire at once. And that cannon does actually so much for PartinG here defensively. And he basically takes almost no losses against that little run-by.
Yeah, very nice cannon placement there right now. We do see that Zerbo was over there. He does know the timing of that third base. He knows it's been up for a while, but now PartinG, knowing the army is out of the base, wants to come back in here, but that overcharge is still up. He's going to have to back off for now.
He knows his opponent just doesn't have a lot of buffer for his Colossi. If those Immortals get on top of the Colossi, they are going to knock them down in no time. So he just has to be very careful with how he engages this, but he knows he has that economic lead over his opponent. He's killed the base. And he's even adding, actually, in Stargates right now, because he knows that getting Tempest is going to be the answer. His Mothership Core here is ready and at full energy, so he drops the first Time Warp. Could see a second one here to follow it up. We'll see. And PartinG is just crushing this army right now. 30 supply up, and the Immortals are chasing. It looks like this might be the end for Terminator.
This could be it. So many Zealots on the ground and just not enough buffer for that Colossi. PartinG on the chase right now, even sending a Warp Prism above those Colossi to warp in more Zealots. And it just looks like so much with the Immortals in the back. PartinG could take this here.
Yeah, no overcharge. There's the Warp Prism. He can start lifting up those Immortals to chase. He can even just warp and reinforcements as we see here. The Colossi nowhere to run, and Terminator will fall. It looks like he's just too low in supply. He does not have a third base mining. It is finished, but it doesn't matter if there's if there's no probes there. Cute micro here, but it looks like PartinG is going to shut him down.
Yeah, PartinG with a huge push here. He's going to try to build the Mantle and Nexus, but GG coming out of Terminator. PartinG takes 2 in a row against JINAIR Greenwings.
This is exactly what JINAIR Greenwings does not want to have happen, is to have PartinG, come out as a second player, do what he needed to do, have that flashy win with his Immortal timing, and then suddenly come into a PvP macro game and come up and basically bait the crowd to cheer him, give him the finger wag. And that game was just so well played by PartinG. Everything he did, coming down to the cannon placement in between the mineral patches so that the Zealots couldn't actually surround it and kill it. It shows his finesse. He's not a player who always has to be, flashy and aggressive with timings. He just basically played a straight-up macro game against his opponent and won it. The snipe on the Mothership Core was, I guess, the flashiest thing we really saw in that game.
Yeah, I mean, you can say it so much here. PartinG is just playing so well. He's just one of these players. This is the reason why SK Telecom T1's lineup so far is just so deep. You have players like PartinG. We have so